So it's trying to establish the initial selection. So just by taking the pen tool, resetting fill and stroke, take the fill off temporarily, and just click um, once at the top. As it comes straight down, just hold the shift key down and stretch out the handle a little bit. Hold the shift key so it keeps it straight. Swap this so it shows there. And just come on the other side and drag the handle up there in the space bar to position it. Let go. Take that off. And do the same up at the top. Kind of find where the straight line ends. Click, hold the shift key to drag the handle out. And what that does is it presets the curve. You can see the rubber banding of this part. The Smart Guide brings it down. And there's the shift key. Now if it's a little too far, at least I'll make it even. I can come back and edit that because we're sensitive to how far you take it out. We'll set this curve. You just have to get a feel for it. And bring it up to the top there. So I take the direct selection tool. I can click on these, both these handles. Just drop this one down. Drop this one down. So now I have the initial setup for it. And while it's there, I have the stroke palette here, so I can increase the stroke. See how too far or too little. It has the endpoints, but I'm going to keep them straight. I have it across. And once I have one, I can just Option duplicate it and set it across. So Option turns the cursor into a duplication. Shift key to keep it straight across. And then just use Command D to place it across there. So again, selecting all these pieces together, if I have the stroke highlighted, you can see that it does make that initial selection. But once it uses it as a gradient, it's still connected to a path, so you can't actually adjust it. But to demonstrate it, they're all selected. So I'm going to Option and just put a copy of it so that they won't be edited. So this top group, I'm just going to take under Object Path, and you have all these options. Just going to do Outline the stroke, and you can see that it becomes outlined. So now here's where I have the gradient. The rainbow gradient was just pulled up out of the library, saved into swatches over here. And these are all individual pieces, so if I take the gradient tool, make sure the fill is in the foreground, here's all the colors for it. And it'll stretch across, it'll reach across. So depending on which way I annotate this, this is just a linear gradient coming across. Okay. And if I want to go back to where they're all individual, just temporarily select none, and then go back. I have this gradient brought into it, and each of them are separated on their own accord. Okay. And again, if I take just one of these, and this one is where it's still on the stroke piece, here's where it'll wrap around and follow the path. So that's where the stroke part comes in. And again, if you have a metallic piece and you want to keep it traditionally the metal part, you can play with that part. And the other section is having the rounded edges off of the top there, so it'll give you a little bit of a look to it. Okay. So that's kind of using the overall segment of the gradient and trying to edit those pieces. Okay. So it's just kind of giving you that particular